Good morning, I'm Candace Bovito for WSDR, and with me today is Genesis Hay-Crick from Genesis Speaks. She is on WSDR every other Monday. Good morning.
Good morning, Candace.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am hanging in there.
Good.
It was a good weekend.
Yes. Goes by too fast, so.
It does, it does. So today we are talking about goals and goal setting.
Yep.
All right. So let's start out by telling me and the listeners why goal setting is so important for a business.
Goal setting is so important because you can apply it to your personal or professional life. And what people don't think about all the time is just the way that they want to go about goal setting. And that can be very, very challenging for them because they think goal setting and it just seems to be so overwhelming, but really it's a simple concept that people don't understand.
How do you start? I mean, where does say a business owner or just an individual, where do you start?
You know, when I'm working with people, I talk to them a lot about just putting it down on paper. You know, what do you visualize for your end result? And if you can have a vision, if you can have an idea of what you want, then you can create a plan in order to get there. So first it takes having the dream, having the idea, having the ambition, and then from there you can develop the goals. And when creating goals, it's more or less about developing small, attainable goals rather than looking at it as a huge overall concept that you're trying to overcome, I should say. So it's little steps at a time to create an end result. And a lot of people look at it like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to, complete all of these things along the way, and that's just way too overwhelming for me. But the key is to be able to do it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then what ends up happening is that it just becomes a part of your life.
So you break it down, if I'm understanding, break it down into small pieces or small tasks so that you're not overwhelmed, and then it becomes sort of a habit?
Yes, exactly. And little by little, that habit will just become a part of your lifestyle. And experts say that typically it takes 21 days in order for a habit to be formed. And if you can do that for a 21-day period, then it's just going to be gradually incorporated into your life. So there's a lot of opportunity with taking the initiative to take action and to start implementing in your life.
And what do you say, Genesis, about, say, goal setting and failure? It would be nice to say, I've written down all the steps and I'm trying to accomplish this, point B, but to get from A to B, I'm going to slip sometimes. There are things that happen, life takes over, and I slip. So what do you say about failure?
Failure is a good thing, and if you never fail, then you're never going to know how you can overcome obstacles and what could have been if you never failed. So whenever I talk to my clients about failure and they talk to me about doing something over and over and over again and feeling like they're getting the same results, I say, well, it's time to switch something up then. They a lot of the time feel like it's them, and it's just them just doing repetitive things over and over again. And the real idea behind it is just that they need to understand that maybe some of those little steps need to be revamped just a little bit. And failure is a great way to understand what you don't want. So if you're failing at something, you can say, maybe this way is not the right way. I still want the same goal, but I'm going to switch the way that I'm going about doing it.
And what are some takeaways for people to utilize when they're creating their goals?
Some of the takeaways that I can provide for my clients is that I would say, first and foremost, identifying what it is very clearly that they want. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they speak in generalities when they're creating their goals. They're not specific, they're not measurable, attainable, realistic, or timely. And you need to have those concepts when you're creating your goals, whether they be short-term or long-term goals. The more that you can identify in terms of clarity, the better off you're going to be. Because, if you say, for example, I want to lose 20 pounds at some point in my life, that's about as general as you can get, right?
And it doesn't force you to do anything to take care of it right now.
Exactly. So it doesn't describe a specific date. It doesn't describe how you're going to do it. It doesn't describe steps that are being taken and an overall plan of action. So the more specific you are about it, the clearer the path is going to be, and the more realistic the success is going to be as an end result.
Where can people reach you to discuss this further?
They can reach me at my website, which is genesisspeaks.com, or they can set up a consultation by calling me directly at 815-440-4812.
And you'll speak to individuals as well as area businesses, correct?
Yes.
All right. Folks, that's Genesis Haycrick with Genesis Speaks. She's about team building and motivation every other Monday on WSDR.